Evening, dear parents, teachers, and students. A warm welcome to the webinar of National Education Policy 2020. According to Kofi Annan, literacy is a bridge from misery to hope. Education is the human right with immense power to transform. The National Education Policy 2020 is the first education policy that envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. It provides quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. To get acquainted with the new policy 2020, its principles, objectives, and structure, we have amidst us an eminent educationist, Dr. Flossie D'Souza. Dr. Flossie is an associate professor in education at St. Anne's College of Education, PG Studies and Research in Education. She has 27 years of teaching experience at UG and PG level and 25 years of research experience. She has guided more than 250 dissertations of MA and MA in education. 7 scholars are awarded PhD in education by Mangalore University and 2 are pursuing their PhD in her guidance. Madam has served as resource person at national conferences organized by several institutions of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, and as research associate in research projects funded by UNESCO, Xavier Board, Government of Karnataka, and in more than 150 capacity building programs for parents, teachers, students at various levels. She has co-authored several books in education and presented papers at World Conference in Education in Europe, USA, Italy, and Thailand. We are proud to acknowledge that she is the parent of our institute. Kamal family extends a warm and affectionate welcome to you, dear madam, and request you please to take.
Thank you, Sister Sarika, for your words of welcome and introduction. Good evening to all the parents and teachers of Carmel School gathered around this virtual platform. It's my great pleasure to be a part of this webinar on creating awareness on new National Policy on Education 2020 to the parents and teachers of Carmel School, Mangalore. This prestigious school, run by the Apostolic Carmel Management, has made its name for its excellence and quality education in Mangalore city and also in Karnataka state. I am sure the parents who are connected with me in this webinar have chosen the best school for their children, as every parent wishes that their children should get best and quality education. As the school strives for its excellence, the school has to adopt to new changes that is taking place in our country as proposed by National Education Policy 2020. This is the hot topic of discussion around the country today. There are several conferences, webinars, seminars organized by schools, colleges, universities, and several non-governmental organizations trying to conceptualize the transformative education reforms proposed by the policy. Though there are several reforms at all levels of education, we shall restrict our discussion today only on the transformative educational reforms proposed for school education by National Education Policy 2020. My presentation will only be restricted to school educational reforms. Let me share my screen. The National Education Policy 2020, no doubt, is a reform that suggests transformative education. In my presentation today, I will be focusing on the need and vision of this policy as given by the visionaries who have drafted this National Education Policy, and also the major reforms of school education and the timeline that is given for implementation, as well as teacher training that is required for such a reformative change in our country, and what are the steps that we can take as we go forward. So this will be the sequence of my presentation. According to the experts who have drafted this policy, have a different vision for our system of education in India. The last national education policy that we witnessed was in the year 1986, which we call it as National Policy on Education, which was later modified in the year 1992. It is only after 33 years, that is after 3 decades, we heard about a new policy, that is National Education Policy 2019 in its draft form. And this was as a result of a committee that was set up by MHRD, now known as the Ministry of Education, in June 2017 under the chairmanship of Dr. Krishnaswamy Kasturi Rangan. And this committee is also called as Kasturi Rangan Committee, and they came out with a draft of National Education Policy 2019 consisting of 484 pages, which is available on public domain. And this is the source for all details and all reforms that is suggested at all levels of education. One among the committee was Dr. M.K. Sridhar, former member secretary, Karnataka Knowledge Commission from Bengaluru, who was a part of this committee. At several occasions, I had an opportunity to listen to Dr. M.K. Sridhar. And Dr. M.K. Sridhar compares this national education policy to a player playing long jump. As we all know, that in a long jump, the player usually takes 4 phases. In the first phase, he has a runway. He takes a runway, and then at a particular point, he takes off. And from the point of takeoff, there is a third phase, which is called as flight. And at the end, there is landing. And where the player lands, where he lands, depends on the previous 3 phases. So it just like this, even this national education policy, in order to land or to have a vision for the next 2.5 to 3 decades, they had to go through a runway and then take off at a particular point, that is into 2020, and then take a flight and then land to something that they have visioned or they have dreamt for a new India, India which is reformed, which has reformed and quality education. So in order to have this vision, they had done this runway. The approach that they followed was, they have gone through the past records, the policies and reports. They went through 28 policy and reports and did lot of consultation with different members of the committee, and then they had analyzed their inputs, after which they developed certain themes. And only after that, they consulted a number of key stakeholders in the field of education. And also, they made a study of the global best practices in education. They have also done the global best practice in school education and the literature review or a literature survey. Only after doing the spade work or runway, what we call it as runway in long jump, they were able to arrive at this committee. They drafted a national education policy in its draft form in the year 2019, which was put in the public domain. And public have most of the public who were aware and who the educated people have read this committee, and they have a lot of positives and negatives and a lot of criticisms also related to this policy, National Education Policy 2019. And later, once it was approved by the cabinet, it was now we have National Education Policy 2020. Cabinet approved this National Education Policy on the 29th of July 2020, and this policy is an attempt towards transformation. It is said that it's a game changer. Some say that it's a forward-looking policy, and looking at it in a broad sense, we can see that it's a very comprehensive policy because it introduces us to the plethora of reforms, and the reforms are suggested at different levels of education, including early childhood care education to lifelong learning that continues for every citizen of the country. The challenges addressed in this national education policy include the access to education. Every citizen of the country should have access to quality education. And also, secondly, equity. Education should be given as per the needs of the citizens. Every individual or every citizen of the country has to get quality education in the country. At the same time, affordable education, and also accountable education. This accountability has to do with all the stakeholders. All the stakeholders have been, this committee has suggested that all the stakeholders will have enough autonomy. Students will have their own choices to make, teachers will have their own choices to make, the administrators, the departments involved, they will have a lot of autonomy, but they also say that light but tight regulations will be formulated so that all involved in providing quality education to the citizens of this country will be committed and will be accountable to the work that they are doing. They also focused on sustainable developmental goals, and as all over the globe, we see that the sustainable development goals are the focus, and every country gives importance to sustainable developmental goals. And one among them is quality education, which we call it as Sustainable Development Goal 4 or SDG 4. And in this SDG 4, quality education, it is to ensure that all citizens of the country are included, or in other words, there is a lot of inclusiveness irrespective of any type of differences that we have in our citizenship. At the same time, provide equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities to all children and adults of our country. So with this vision in mind, the policymakers, the who have drafted this, that is Kasturi Rangan. In his words, the Kasturi Rangan says that if we go back and see the different policies, we see that all the policy recommendations of the earlier policies, even today, they have not been followed, or they have not been taken into action. Therefore, it doesn't work when we just go through the old policies and we try to fine tune them. It may not work. Therefore, Kasturi Rangan committee suggests, or they were of the opinion that we require a new policy. We require some completely a new and a transformative policy for our Indian education in order to provide quality education in the country. So with this need in mind, they felt that we need a new education policy for India, and that was as a result of this we have this National Education Policy 2020, and in their vision, they said that we have to try to create a just and equitable society, and that should be the aim of education. At the same time, we have to meet the aspirational goals of 21st century education with Indian traditions and value system. So they have proposed to revise and also revamp all aspects of education, including the structure of education at the school level, and also at the higher education level, and also to make sure that the regulations and governance is light, but they are very tight, so that whatever the policy recommends comes into action, and this will lead to quality education in our country. And according to these visionaries, the vision of this policy is to provide high quality education to all. At the same time, make sure that every Indian feels proud to be the citizen of India, and he has a bonding with one's own country, and learns to respect his one's country, a deep sense of being an Indian, and know what are the rights and duties of being a citizen of India, and to value the constitutional values and respect the constitutional values, and a conscious awareness of one's role and responsibilities in the changing world. At the same time, also to make sure that we are also a part of the global citizen, thinking of the global well-being, and also reflecting that though we are local Indian, we also are a part of the global universe. So truly to become a global citizen. So the vision of the policy is to provide high quality education to all the citizens of India, as well as to feel that every individual should feel proud to be an Indian, and also make sure that he is a true global citizen. So with this vision in mind, they have proposed a number of reforms. So the reforms that they have suggested are written in the draft and as well as in the National Education Policy 2020 document in 4 sections. In the first section, or the first part, they discuss about school education. The second part focuses on higher education. The third part focuses on additional key focus areas, including professional education, adult education, technology education, and the fourth section covers how we can transform this education into reality, which focuses on the funding that is required, which focuses also on the implementation pathways. So these are the 4 parts or the sections of the National Education Policy 2020. But in today's discussion, we will only focus on school education reforms, because we teachers and the parents who are listening to this webinar are more interested in the school education and the education of their children. So today's discussion in this webinar will focus only on school education. Now, what are some of the reforms in school education? The major reform that is coming up in school education is the structure of schooling itself, or the pattern of the schooling. So, as you know, we already know that in the existing academic structure, we had 10+2 structure, where from class 1 to class 10, or standard 1 to standard 10, it's at the ages 6 to 16, where the child is in the school, and then after schooling they have for 2 years of senior secondary, or what we call it as pre-university college education in Karnataka and in India. Whereas now the new structure that has come up has given a different design, and this design is nothing but 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, that is 15 years of schooling design. So this 5 years, which was not seen in the earlier structure, has been added now, and that is in the formative years of children, ages between 3 and 6, because here in our structure of schooling, the children entered class 1 only at the age of 6. And before coming to school, we have the different schools and different non-governmental organizations or private bodies giving early childhood care education in its varieties. For example, we see that there are Z schools, there are nursery schools, there are preschools, there are KG1, KG2 in the schools itself. So there are varieties, Anganwadis, and varieties of schools, but they are not very formalized, and there are no teachers who are specialized in the area, and it's not really working in the way it should work. So they have gone through the lack that is there in the early or the formative years of education, and that's why they have proposed that there should be a foundational stage for 5 years, and that is very, very crucial years for our children in schools. So this 5 years, so the child enters the school when he or she is 3 years old, and in the Anganwadi or in the preschools, and after 3 years the child will get into class 1 and class 2. And this class 1 is also, it is also called as there is a preparatory class before they enter class 1, and then age 6 to 8 will be for 2 years of class grade 1 and grade 2, and this 5 years is called as foundational stage. And this will be a multi-level education, a lot of play activities, and it will only focus on activity based learning. And the next stage is the preparatory stage for 3 years, and here the classes will be class 3 to class 5, and the age of the children will be 8 to 11. And in this preparatory stage, the children will learn by playing, by discovering, by activity, interactive classroom learning. And as they go higher, next 3 years, class 6 to 8, that age 11 to 14 will be called as middle class or middle stage for 3 years. Here the focus will be on more on the experiential learning in the sciences, mathematics, arts, social sciences, and humanities. And as they go into a higher stage, which is called as secondary stage for 4 years, class 9 to 12, the age covered will be 14 to 18. Here, this will be more of multidisciplinary study, and there will be a greater opportunity for critical thinking for the children. There will be a lot of flexibility in the learning process, and the students will have to make a choice of their subjects. So this is the new pedagogical structure that is proposed and suggested by the National Education Policy 2020, and it will take its final shape very early, as they have suggested the timeline for it. So therefore, this 12 years of schooling plus the 3 years of foundational level which they have been added, which is called as early childhood care education. So the total, it will be 15 years the children are supposed to be in school. So if a child enters the school at the age of 3, the child will finish schooling class 12, and only after that, when the child is 18 years, who is called as an adult, will be leaving the school and to get ready to enter into the either in the academic stream as in the university for university education, or for any type of higher education, professional education, or even to other workforce. Now, this policy has given a lot of importance to early childhood care education. That is the formative years of children, formative years. The reason for giving more importance to early childhood care education is that 85% of the brain development occurs prior to the age of 6. So because the brain development is very fast from birth to age 6, this age becomes very critical, and this age is very, very important, and we need to make sure that our children are given a lot of activities and lot of learning opportunities at this formative years of their schooling. So appropriate care and stimulation is required at this formative age in order to for the health, for the development, brain development, for the healthy brain development as well as growth of the children. And even the national curricular and pedagogical framework has been already developed as in the process of development of this by NCERT. Has been the process is under progress. The focus of this early childhood care education is also to make sure that all children have access to education, and there is universal access to high quality early childhood care education. And this will be a phased activity which will be undertaken by the government, and throughout the country this will be the focus. And for this they have just already started this in phases, different phases, and this will be the focus. And who will teach them? Only specially trained teachers. Specially trained teachers in ECCE, or Early Childhood Care Education Curriculum and Pedagogy. Only those teachers will be recruited, and they will be teaching children, little children, in the early childhood care education, age 3 to 6. Now, the purpose of this is to give universal access for children of 3 to 6 years. All children of age 3 to 6 years have access to free, safe, and high quality early childhood care education at Anganwadis, preschools, and also what is called as Balavatikas. And Balavatikas are nothing but preparatory classes. Preparatory classes prior to the age of 5. Every child will have to move to a preparatory class, or this is also called as Balavatika. This is to make sure that the child is ready for school. To ensure school ready of the child, preparatory classes will be introduced in the schools itself at the age of 5 to 6. And apart from this, this foundational stage will cover two types of ages. One is 3 to 6 as early childhood care education, and age 6 to 8 as class 1 and class 2 in primary schools. And this at this level, or at the foundational level, the education will be very flexible. Only activity and game based or play based activities will be performed, and there will be a lot of opportunities for children to ask questions and inquire and find out about the whatever they see, whatever they observe. So there will be a lot of opportunities for question answers, and there will be a lot of play and game based activities at this early childhood care education, and this will be jointly carried out by different agencies. Next focus of the policy is on foundational literacy and numeracy. Literacy and numeracy, nothing, it means the ability to read, write, and perform basic operations with numbers. And these are the basic operations. Basic literacy level is nothing but reading and writing. Numeracy has to do with performing basic operations with numbers. And it is very alarming to note that the World Bank 2017 report has warned us that there is a learning crisis across the world. So it is not only in India, but all around the world. Across the world, we can see there is a learning crisis. In India, the report said that half the children in grade 5 could not even read a text that is meant for grade 2 children. That means there is a greater crisis of literacy and numeracy in Indian children. In order to attain this foundational literacy and numeracy, an urgent national mission has to be set up. So therefore, this national education policy proposes to start or to implement this plan of action, or have to put it in the mission mode. And therefore, all the states have been asked to prepare an implementation plan and have targets by 2025 and achieve that by 2025. So all the states have been asked to ensure that all children have this foundational literacy and numeracy by the year 2025. And also, lot of materials have been developed for the sake of developing foundational literacy and numeracy, because only this foundational literacy and numeracy will ensure for the success of further schooling. The success of further schooling depends on foundational literacy and numeracy. Therefore, a national repository of high quality resources have been developed, and they will be made available on the Diksha platform, which is a digital platform. And it is also proposed that peer tutoring could be made use of, this mechanism of peer tutoring, so that the volunteers from the communities can be utilized. They can come to school and tutor children in this literacy and numeracy mission. And the next focus of the policy is on curriculum and pedagogy in schools. As we know that the curriculum is overloaded, and the pedagogy used by schools mostly are teacher centered in schools, and reforms are, we all agree, all of us, teachers and whoever is involved in the field of education, all of us agree that reforms are required in curriculum and pedagogy in schools. So they suggest to have a holistic pedagogy, not only focusing on the intellectual abilities of the children, but also on the physical abilities and the social abilities, emotional abilities, aesthetic abilities, as well as the ethical abilities. So a type of holistic education is the need of the hour. At the same time, we need to go towards integrated education. Integrated education, which means that there should be correlation between different subjects. So whenever a child learns a particular subject, the child should know how to compare it with other subject and how the a particular subject is related to the other subject. So even integration of art based education, integration of sports based education, integration of occasional skills, integration of different subjects, that should be the focus in schooling. At the same time, teachers have to make sure that the students are engaged in the activities and learning experiences throughout their school experience, throughout their school timings. At the same time, it should not be very heavy for the children. They should enjoy, there should be fun, there should be a lot of opportunities for learning very creatively in a very collaborative way. So these are the ideas. Learning, the way the way the children learn needs to change in the school. And at the same time, the focus of holistic development, including the knowledge domain, the attitudinal domain, the skills domain, the habits and the values that we include in the holistic development. So the knowledge that we provide in the schools and colleges should not be specific only to one subject, but or only few subjects, but it should be multidisciplinary in nature. And the attitudes developed in the children should be positive, and the children should have at positive mental attitude, so that they are ready to sail through all the challenges of their life and know to value life. So as we see that children are those who are very susceptible, and they are having, they're losing their emotional stability very fast, as well as there is a lot of issues, mental health issues with children. Therefore the positive mental attitude is to develop. This is also the focus in school education. At the same time, development of skills, not one skill but multiple skills need to be developed in children. And habits, so the learning habits of the children and the working habits of the children, both the children and the teachers, learning and working habits need to change. And the policy emphasizes that the learning habits, a teacher should be a continuous learner, so that the children or the students know to value the teacher's time, as well as model the teacher, as well as the working habits of the teachers also need to change. At the same time, the policy proposes that values, in the society the values are deteriorating, and the schools and the teachers are blamed for not instilling values in the children. Therefore education has greater responsibility to develop both personal and social values in children, and therefore the focus of the policy is more on holistic development. And when we come to the global education, the 4 C's of 21st century skills that are emphasized at the global level are critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication. Therefore, in our schools, we must make full efforts to make sure that our schooling gives children a lot of opportunities to be critical thinkers, to collaborate and learn together, at the same time to develop creative thinking and develop the communication abilities. And as per the UNESCO pillars of education, learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together is the focus of global quality education. Now, the holistic development of learners, what is that we concentrate on? We have concentrated enough on what to learn, and now there is a time that we have reached. We need to move towards how to learn rather than what to learn. What to learn may not be sufficient, but the children need to learn how to learn. So not only cognitive development, we need to focus not only on cognitive development, but also on building character of the children, and also making sure that we are giving well-rounded, we create well-rounded individuals who are equipped with 21st century skills. At the same time, values to be embedded in our children, and this will be possible only when we try to embed the values in our teaching learning process. The other aspect that they have mentioned in the national education policy is that the curriculum content needs to be reduced. So, in order to make sure that the children are thinking creatively and thinking critically, we cannot do with rote memorization when there is lot of content in the to be learnt, and the children will concentrate more on the content rather than the abilities. Therefore, the reduction of curriculum content moves towards more of critical thinking. Therefore, in the curriculum, only core essentials to be included, and there will be interactive teaching learning classroom sessions that is required to develop this critical thinking. And when there is interactive teaching classrooms, then there'll be a lot of fun in the classroom. Children will give their own ideas and they'll be very creative. Collaborative activities which should be planned by the teachers in the teaching learning process, as well as the classroom transactions will be more of exploratory in nature. Hence, experiential learning is the focus of the pedagogy in transacting the curriculum content. So there should be a lot of hands-on learning experiences, and also the art and sports should be integrated into experiential learning as well as into the curriculum. And classroom transaction has to shift from rote memorization to competency based learning. So this is the focus of national education policy. So the teachers are supposed to identify the competencies and make sure that they provide learning experiences to attain those competencies and measure those competencies to ensure that they are making use of competency based learning. And the most important pedagogy that the teachers are supposed to follow is cross curricular pedagogical approaches. This appears to be something new to us, but this is the need of the hour or need of the day, because we have been teaching only one subject or two subject, and we are engrossed into those subjects so much that the teachers don't even look at the other subjects what the children are learning. Therefore, it's very important that every teacher of a particular class should also know what is the child learning in the other subjects, so that the teacher is able to connect what you are teaching to the other subject the child is learning, and to give a child an opportunity to relate the other subjects with the subject of the child is learning. So there is cross curricular pedagogical approach that is emphasized, because finally knowledge is a very comprehensive whole, and we cannot, only for the sake of convenience, we have isolated and we have taken different subjects. Otherwise, knowledge is one body of knowledge, so it's a whole. We cannot compartmentalize and look at it independently. So we have to go in more for interdisciplinary pedagogies, multidisciplinary pedagogies. So this is the one of the recommendation of the policy. Now, in schools, the other reforms are that in preparatory classrooms, the subjects that will be taught is at the preparatory stage. This comes after the foundational stage. This is class 3 to 3, 4, 5, for 3 years, 3, 4, 5. So you will have subjects like reading, writing, speaking, physical education, art, science, and maths. The textbooks will be light, so that the content will be reduced and the children will have not have to carry a heavy bag. And then it will be interactive classroom learning that will be emphasized. And in the middle classes, there will be more emphasis on subject teachers will come into the picture here, and the subject teachers will discuss the abstract concepts in each subject. This is up to class 8, and experiential learning with and across the subjects. And in secondary classes, that is class 9 to 12, it will be more of multidisciplinary study built upon the previous stage, that is on the middle stage. They will learn whatever they have learned in the middle class stage to a greater depth, and focusing on critical thinking. There will be greater flexibility to make choice of the subjects, and this will be more of a semester system. So in the secondary school, semester system is proposed. That is, they will go through 8 semesters every annually, 2 semesters, and there will be exit options after grade 10, and they can re-enter in the next phase to pursue occasional or any other courses that is available in grade 11 and grade 12. Some other pedagogical reforms include that this policy aims at reducing the curriculum load and allowing the students to learn by more connecting to other subjects, or maybe going in for more interdisciplinary studies, and also learning many languages, being more multilingual. And there will be a lot of opportunities for the children to study a combination of subjects. For example, a student who is interested in fashion designing and also in science can combine fashion design with physics, or a child who is learning chemistry can combine chemistry with baking. So a list of subjects will be offered. Combination is left to the child to make a choice. And as we know that IT will always, it's progressing, information technology area is progressing, and coding is very, very crucial for today's modern contemporary world. Therefore, coding will be introduced from class 6 itself, and midday meal scheme will be extended. That will also include breakfast for children. And in the schools, we will be able to see counselors and also social workers, keep making sure that students have good mental health. So there will be a lot of deployment of counselors and social workers to schools. So the innovative pedagogy that the school has to make use is mainly experiential learning and integrated pedagogy by integrating arts, sports, and ICT into the pedagogy. Apart from that, make use of peer tutoring to make sure that make use of more and more peer tutoring, make opportunities even to bring in community to for use of community volunteers for peer tutoring. Then there will be equal weightage to all the subjects. There is no hard separation between what we call it as science, math, social science. So there's no hard separation between curricular subjects and extracurricular or co-curricular areas. So they will all be given equal emphasis, including art, science, including arts, sports, and vocational streams. So the art of choice will be there for students to select the subjects and make a combination of subjects. And there will also be bagless days. At least 10-day bagless days are proposed for children, where they will not bring bags to class, but they will have some sort of field work. They'll have some sort of activity based learning. And there will be a lot of integration of technology, especially technology enabled pedagogy will be used in classes 6 to 12. And the students will be empowered through this policy recommendation, because there will be a lot of flexibility for students to make choice of subjects, especially in secondary schools, because in secondary schools the idea is to go in for multidisciplinary study. There will be no hard separation, as I already told you, among curricular, extracurricular, arts, science streams, or humanities, between occasional and academic streams. Every stream will be given equal weightage. And all subjects, physical education, arts, crafts, occasional skills, in addition to other subjects that what we have now, general education subjects like science, maths, social sciences, all this will be incorporated throughout the school curriculum. And the integration of skills and different capacities that are required for modern workforce will be also a part of this school curriculum. So there will be multiple skills that is required to be embedded in the curriculum. At the same time, contemporary subjects like artificial intelligence, design thinking, holistic health, organic living, global citizenship education, and all this will be introduced at relevant stages. At the same time, as we know that mathematics and computational thinking will always be required for the future generations, that will be given greater emphasis. And they have also proposed that that is what is called as fun course for children of grade 6 to 8. It should be a part of the school curriculum, fun course, which includes occasional crafts like carpentry, electrical, metal, plumbing, gardening, pottery, etc. This is to make sure that there is practice-based curriculum that is introduced in the at the school level, and NCRT will be designing such a fun course for children of grade 6 to 8. And as I already told you, 10 bagless period will be also a part of schooling, and this is so that the children have an exposure to the local locational experts. Now, some other curriculum reforms also include that the children should have have knowledge of India, Indian culture, Indian values, Indian ethos, and the languages of India as a part of every subject. Therefore, the knowledge of India will be introduced at every grade in the curriculum. At the same time, in secondary schools, they have suggested that an elective course on engaging course on Indian knowledge system should be introduced. And at the same time, what they propose is that we need to concentrate on ethical practices. Therefore, there will be focus on values, and sound ethical practices should be embedded in the curriculum, so that before the child leaves the school, the child knows what is right and what is wrong, and what is right to be done as they become the members of the society. So, and also they have proposed that in the textbooks there will be reduction of the content, and there will be more scope for construction of knowledge. More of the teachers and the schools and the the local authorities will be given opportunity to have a supplementary material and introduce it for the schools, so that the children are aware of the local culture and local occasional culture of the country. Now we come to the language reforms. These language reforms have been, for some time it is of more subjected to criticism, because the policy raises the importance of mother tongue and also regional languages as medium of instruction until class 5, and preferably beyond it should be the mother tongue that should be the focus. And the reason for giving importance to mother tongue based education is that in many countries like Finland, which is known for the highest quality of education, Norway, in other countries like Denmark, Sweden, in all those countries they have this mother tongue based education. So for all the citizens of that particular country, even those who are permanent residents, they are given education in their mother tongue. I was surprised to hear that in Sweden and Norway, there are 70 languages taught by 70 teachers, including Indian languages. So depending on the children who come to the school with the whatever mother tongue that they have, the school should ensure that they have a trained teacher to teach that particular child in the mother tongue. This also is very important for us, because it is the language of the heart, as Nelson Mandela says, that if you talk to a person in any language that he knows, then you reach only his head. But if you talk to a person with his mother tongue or his own language, then you reach his heart. And this is therefore, you can learn better in a mother tongue, and that is the psychology behind the policy raising this important reform in language, that is the mother tongue as the medium of instruction, which is working well in other countries. So they want to try it out in India. That's why they have proposed this, but it is subject to a lot of criticism. And in formative years, children can learn, that is especially from the age of 2 to 8, children can learn a number of languages. They have a lot of ability to learn languages. Therefore, the policy proposes that children should be exposed to number of languages in this formative years. So it is not only the mother tongue, but also the regional language, local language. At least as they get into grade 6 and 8, they are exposed to at least two Indian languages. Then as they get into higher secondary education, they are exposed to classical languages, including Sanskrit and all the foreign languages. Foreign languages, which means other languages like Russian or Malay language or French or German. So they should have an opportunity to even choose the foreign language, and that's why they say that this should be given emphasis, because they can learn it better when they are younger than later on. So the policy also states that no language will be imposed on the students, and this policy will only be a broad guideline, and this implementation will be left to the states, institutions, and the schools, because there is a lot of criticism on this. So the more detailed language strategy would be released in next year by National Curriculum Framework by NCERT. So we see that the main language reform is that in preschools, teaching is in mother tongue, preferably, and class 1 to 5 exposure to 3 languages. Medium is mother tongue. Class 6 onwards, there will be a lot of choices for 3 language formula, keeping in mind that at least 2 are Indian languages. And in secondary schools, they will be given more focus on taking other classical language like Sanskrit or foreign language as electives. So this is the reform suggested by the policy in the school level. When it comes to assessment, assessment has been the weakest link in our teaching learning process. Though teaching learning process cannot exist without evaluation or assessment, this has been the weakest link, because we teach, we make sure that they learn, but we don't assess what they have learned. So that therefore it is the weakest link, and we need to shift our system of assessment from summative to formative, to competency based assessment, to promote learning. So whatever they learn, it is whatever we assess, it should not create fear in the children, but it should be a way for them to learn and progress. And we should also test the higher order skills, because we have been measuring only knowledge and understanding, and we have not been measuring analysis, synthesis, evaluation, creativity at all. Therefore there is a need to shift to test higher order thinking skills. And we in schools or in colleges, we trust only in teachers assessment, but the other countries have moved ahead. We have to trust our students. So there should be focus for peer assessment. There should be, the best assessment is said to be the self assessment. So different types of assessment have been proposed by the policy. And the other reforms related to board exams. In our country, we know that children are suffering from exam pressure. Immediately after the exams, many children commit suicide because of failure, not able to take the failure, not able to accept the failure. At the same time, we see this coaching culture increasing day by day, and children are really they do not want to be coached in such a way that you just to get one seat for a medical or engineering seat, you are putting them in coaching, and whole day and night they are so much practicing so many question papers. This culture has really has created a lot of problems for parents and teachers, schools, and even for students especially. Therefore we need to eliminate this. So this is the policy feels that coaching class will be eliminated. We need to eliminate these coaching classes. Board exams will be continued for classes 10 and 12, but they will be redesigned. Board exams are going to be much easier, only because only core competencies need to be measured, and only they will be measured. It will be very easy and low stake. The examination will be short duration, measuring objective as well as descriptive type of items. And there is a need to eliminate high stakes board exams. For this, the board exams will be conducted twice a year, and all the students will be allowed to take the examination in two occasions during school going years. One is called as the main exam, the other is improvement. So if any child feels that I should have got more marks, then I need to, the child is free to take improvement exam if desired. So apart from that, standard setting body will be established, which will be called as National Assessment Center for Assessment, and this will be called as PARAK. And the PARAK means Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. So holistic development will be measured, and this will be a standard setting body which will measure through this board examination and other examination. They will measure that whether the standards have been attained or not. Next reform is related to progress cards, and you are familiar with the progress cards sent by schools to the parents, and these progress cards will be redesigned. And in order to redesign, the schools will be guided by National Assessment Center, NCRT and SCRT, and the progress records or progress cards that will be presented to the parents will be holistic in nature, which is called as holistic 360-degree multidimensional report. And the teachers have to really slog for preparing such a holistic 360-degree multidimensional report, which should reflect in great detail the progress and uniqueness of each learner. How good is the learner in cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. All this will be covered in the progress cards, which will be redesigned. And this will also include the assessment done by the teacher, assessment done by the peers, as well as the self-assessment will also be recorded in the progress cards. And there will be, for resource sharing, they have proposed that we need to have what is called a school complex. School complex is meant for effective resourcing and governance. And the idea is to consolidate schools and share the resources that different schools have. This is because in most of the public schools and also in the state itself, in a regional language schools, for example, our Kannada medium schools, the number is deteriorating and the number is becoming lesser and lesser. So there are very few students in the class, and the children will not get more opportunities for collaboration and learning from one another because of lack of resources, lack of teachers, and lack of many other resources for the children. Therefore, they have suggested that the schools should be grouped, and they should adopt mechanisms to group schools. And school complex means that one secondary school, together with all the other schools offering the lower grades in its neighborhood, including Anganwadis in the radius of 5 to 10 kilometers, will have to group together and make a school complex. And this school complex will also have this school, as we have this school developmental committee. Similarly, school complex developmental committees will also emerge. And they have proposed another idea of twinning and pairing, that every public school will be paired with one private school for resource sharing and for infrastructure and human resource sharing. The last aspect that they have considered is the standard setting and accreditation. Now, till now in India, we did not have this accreditation for schools, though we had it in higher education institutions. So you must have heard of NAC, National Accreditation and Assessment and Accreditation Council, which does the accreditation for higher education institutions. Similarly, an accreditation is coming to schools now, and the goal of this accreditation is to continually improve educational outcomes. In order to do this, the governance and regulations will be formed by different bodies, and these are the 4 levels in which this standard setting and accreditation will work. First, there will be Department of School Education, which will be an apex body, and this will also be there in the state level for overall monitoring and policy making, and also for continual improvement in school education. Then we will have Directorate of School Education, which will be responsible for the implementation of the policies regarding educational operations and the services. And next is the State School Standard Authority, and this will be to make sure that certain minimal professional quality standards are maintained. So this will be a standard setting body for schools. And then there will be SCRTs at the state level and NCRT at the national level for academic matters, and academic standards and curricula at SCRT will be developed for state level, and they will also develop a framework for accreditation, which will be called as School Quality Assessment and Accreditation Framework. And to consolidate or to summarize, the expected outcomes from this policy is that universalization of access from ECCE to secondary. So every child who enters school will have access to education and will have access to high quality education. And to make sure that there is equity and inclusion in schools, nobody can say no to education of any citizen of the country. And the policy proposes that all the children, around 2 crores of children who are out of school today will have to be brought back to schools. And to attain this SDG goal of quality education, improve quality and achievement of learning outcomes, and foundational literacy, numeracy, focusing on 21st century skills, resource sharing through complex school complexes, and effective governance, separation of powers and common norms, and overcoming the language barrier in learning, and to make sure that common standards are set for both public schools as well as private schools education in India. So these are the expected outcomes from this policy. Now, the major reforms mainly are the board exam, report cards that will be more comprehensive in nature, and vocational courses introduced in the at the class 6 itself, then mother tongue as the medium of instruction till the 5th grade. These are the major reforms at the school level. Now, what is the timeline? So before we get into the timeline of immediate timeline, the policy proposes that 100% gross enrollment ratio from preschool, that is foundational level, to secondary schools by 2030, which means that by 2030, all children of age 3 to 18 will be in schools. Therefore, 100% gross enrollment ratio by 2030 is the timeline. The other timeline, from the time the policy was accepted in the cabinet, plans of action have started. Short and long objectives, or the short and long time plans have been already planned. Then national curriculum framework has been begun, and new curriculum will be released by March 2021, and the class-wise syllabus will also be given by March 2021. Textbook writing will start, and by August 2021, and printing will start, and the new curriculum in classes will begin class 6, 7, 8 and 9 by 2022-23, class 10 by 2023-24, class 11 by 24-25, and class 12 by 25-26. To be more precise on this timeline, early childhood care education will start in phase wise. Phase 1, phase 2 planning has already started. Phase 1 will begin in 21-22, which is next year, and then phase 2 will be continued in 23 and 24. And in the new curriculum and new assessment pattern will start for the immediate class 9th, which will be in the next academic year. That is in 21-22 itself. Class 9 will begin with the new curriculum and assessment, and next 22-23 they will get into 10th standard with a new curriculum and assessment. 11th 23-24, and in 12th they will complete in the new curriculum and assessment. In the year 22-23, the board exam in the new curriculum and assessment pattern will begin for the 10th standard children. That is the following year, not 22 but 22-23. And then in 24-25, the 12th board exams will be in the new pattern. So this is the timeline that CBSE has already planned, and it is circulated to the schools, and the schools have been asked to give awareness to the parents so that they're aware of what changes that are coming to in the schools for their children. Similarly, the National Curriculum Framework for School Education has will be released in the year 2021 March, and then by 25-26, foundational literacy and numeracy will be attained, and by 29-30, this childhood care education will be available to all the children, which means high quality early childhood care education will be ensured to all children of the country by 29-30, and this policy will be fully operational in the next decade 2040 in its fullest form from foundational stage to secondary stage. And in order to bring in all these changes, changes have brought in even to the teacher education sector. So, as teachers from the very heart of the education process, quality of teacher education is important, and therefore that is a priority, and it is the spotlight in National Education Policy 2020. High quality teacher training will be the focus, and they have proposed to convert the teacher education institutions to multidisciplinary institutions by 2030, and to start offering 4-year integrated teacher preparation program. And here higher education institutions should therefore get accredited, and they should move towards becoming autonomous, and they should start to give degree granting colleges. So this is the challenge before the teacher education right now, and it is the more challenging task is for teacher education, because unlike the past, where we gave same type of training to all the teachers who are entering into secondary education, now the teacher education is supposed to train the teachers for different stages: foundational level teachers, preparatory teachers, middle level teachers, and secondary level teachers. And by 2030, the training, the all different kinds of training should become come into practice. And all only 4-year integrated B.Ed teachers, those who are trained teachers, will be a part of the schools by 2030. So minimum degree qualifications for teaching that in schools is by 2030 is 4-year integrated B.Ed. And there is opportunity for other students to do 2-year B.Ed who take other disciplines, and later on they want to become teachers. They can enter into schools by doing 2-year B.Ed and enter as subject teachers in the middle schools, or those teachers who will those students who do a graduation in their different discipline and then do their PG, and later on want to become teachers. They can do 1-year B.Ed, and then they can enter into secondary education. So different kinds of teacher training programs will be offered in future in multidisciplinary institutions. So looking forward, this new education policy has new as well as old and very interesting ideas on school education. But the question is, how are we going to execute this? And in order to execute this, first of all, what we need is change in our mindset. We need to broaden our horizons and broaden our mindsets. And the training for a vast number of highly skilled teachers is the need of the hour. And within that impossible timelines, we are asked to train the teachers, highly skilled teachers, which is a challenging task. So, National Education Policy 2020 has thrown several challenges to school education. Drastic recommendations have been made regarding new curricular structure and pedagogy. It's a very forward looking policy. It gives us enormous opportunities for providing education which is suitable for the 21st century learners. It is true that in future only those schools who are very progressive and those schools who are ready to change with the change in mindset, only those schools will survive. So as our school management, the Apostolic Carmel management and of Mount Carmel School, and the teachers who are working here, and the students who are trained under their care, they will be adopting to new changes as they are so anxious, and they will be adopting to new challenges as parents who are listening to me on this webinar, we need your support. They need your support. And as parents, I too am a parent of a child. So we parents need to be with the school management, with the teachers, and with our children, and we need to support them so that we are able to provide quality education. And this is possible only when you support the schools. So I request the parents to be with the school, to be with the teachers, to be with your children, spend more time with them, and help us in providing quality education to your children. Thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to conclude by saying that every child has a song inside. Every child has a song inside. It is our job, mine and yours, to turn up the volume. It is our job, teachers, it is our job, parents, to turn up the volume. We need to ask to ourselves, are we ready to turn up the volume? So let us be ready to turn up the volume and make sure that we provide quality education to our children. I thank each one of you for connecting with me in this webinar. I thank Sister Sarika for giving me this opportunity. I thank Sister Rose Agnes, who is the administrator of this institution, and the Apostolic Carmel Management for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, and good evening to you.
Dear parents, okay. Dear parents, a few minutes are given to you. If you have any questions to pose to the resource person, you may do so now in the chat box. Ma'am, there are two questions that I would like to
Yes.
place for you. One is, NAP suggests multilingualism. In the cities, it will be a big problem. What is your opinion regarding this?
Yes. Psychologically, it is true that learning number of languages is best for the children, and only school can give them opportunities to learn a number of languages. I know that it is not very practical to go for number of languages, but I think it's not impossible. We are already offering many languages in our school curriculum, as a part of the school curriculum. I think it's possible. I don't think that it is an impossible thing to bring in multilingualism in the schools, except that in secondary schools to offer foreign languages. Whether that will be a possibility, I doubt very much, because they say that you can offer at least depending upon the availability of teachers, you can offer those subjects, foreign languages, to students. So it depends on the takers. If there is if they show interest in the languages, I think if you have trained teachers, only then it will be a possibility. And at present, I don't think we have trained teachers in foreign languages around in local areas. So I think that will be practically difficult, but not an impossible thing. It may be possible in future.
Because the boards, government says, this policy says, three-language formula will remain as it is.
Yeah.
And we are
Yeah,
supposed
three
to take
language formula will remain as it is. That what they say is out of the three language, two language should be the Indian native languages, the two. So we won't have problem with the two languages that we are doing. Only the third one, the option is given that you either learn any other language, any other classical language it can be, or foreign language, or even in it is the Sanskrit also is brought in now. So it depends on whether you want to. That is just to expose the children to more and more languages, because they can learn language in schools when they are in through communication and through in the earlier years easily than later on. Because those students who want to go abroad and continue their studies, they have to learn the language of that particular country before they enter into their country. So if they have some exposure earlier, maybe that will help them. Or some children, basically they have interest of learning some languages, so they have some fascination towards that. So in order to inculcate, or maybe to make possible that whatever we can provide, whatever languages that they can learn, that exposure is that's a good thing only. I appreciate that, but practically depends upon how we can work out in the later stages about the training of teachers who will train them and other things. So otherwise the policy recommendation is a good one for keeping it psychologically. It is appropriate. That is
Okay.
my opinion.
And one more thing is, without proper infrastructure and training of staff, isn't it too early to implement NEP?
Yes, it is too early, because there is no time for us to prepare our minds, prepare parents' minds, prepare everything at once. It's going to be a really nightmare for all of us. Nightmare only, I would say nightmare, because uh, time is so short. This 21 March will come within no time. We have already reached October. So NCFSC is going to give us the curriculum, new curriculum, and you must already by next June you must be ready for implementation in the ninth grade. And already the structure, the pedagogical structure what they have suggested will come into to practice immediately next year. So I think two quick decisions have been taken, and whether there are agitations from the schools. I know there could be some agitations, because whenever there is a change, usually we resist. That is the human nature. Human nature is to resist change, but once we accept the change, we may go ahead easily. So it is going to be difficult. It is going. That's why I'm requesting the parents to be with the teachers, to be with the schools, support them as they go through this change. Yes.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. There's a one question from the parent here again. Will this policy is applicable for the students of the current batch, or will they have to start for the next year? I think so. That should be for the next year, not for this
Next year,
current.
not now. National Curriculum Framework for School Education should be released, and in that they will release the curriculum framework from class 6th onwards. I already showed you a timeline for different classes. Syllabus will they will design the syllabus, and then they will give you the timeline. So at present, the timeline that has come for standard 9 to start, that is secondary schools, will begin in the year 21. So 21 June 1st, we should start with the new curriculum for standard 9.
Okay, ma'am.
And it will start with class 3 also. Yeah. So once the syllabus is released, curriculum is released, syllabus will be worked out at the state levels, and even the lower classes will begin. And ECCE already, it will start in 2021 with the in a phased manner they are doing it. So phase 1 will begin in 2021, early childhood care education. So we are in 21-22 itself, children of age 3 will enter into schools with the new structure.
Okay. So I think so we could wind up.
There's one question on the thing. Will the schools still
No,
continue as
continue.
state, CBSE and ICSE, or will there be a common syllabus? There is nothing told by the policy about the different boards, except that they say that you work in collaboration, don't work in isolation. Because CBSE board has different plans, ICSE board has different plans, and there is no collaboration. Though the students are of the same age group and of the same level, secondary education, totally they are isolated. They do not collaborate in in activities, educational processes, and providing services. So they suggest to collaborate, and maybe in future we may come out with they will give a framework for all type of schools. All type of schools have to go through the same framework. Yes.
So
So
one
there's
more
another
question.
question. Yeah, read, sister.
How will we teach language in secondary school?
In secondary schools, there is option because in
Yes.
secondary schools they have proposed that it should be multidisciplinary study. So when it's a multidisciplinary study, a child learning physics may want to also study foreign language or an Indian language or a classical language. So there should be option given. So every school will have a list of options, language options, at least a few Indian language, a few classical language, a few foreign language. Then allow the children, depending on the availability of teachers and then the options will be given to the students, and they select. And only then the languages could be taught. It's going to be a very challenging thing for the schools, and whether it will work in India or not, it's a question in the mind. Yes.
Yes. One more question has come up. Students can select the subject they want to in science. Does that mean that there will be no commerce and science stream? How will the student continue their studies after 12?
Yeah, very good question. Kausalya has asked a very, very good question. It is true that in higher education also there are a lot of reforms suggested. In higher education, we will be going in for more liberal education. Liberal education, the arts, science, commerce streams will be fully removed, and there will be only a set of sub disciplines that will be offered in higher education institutions, and the students will have flexibility to choose whatever subject he wants. He can choose a major from arts and then one more subject from science or one more from commerce, so he can make a choice of his own subjects and learn. So and then the degree that will be given will be liberal arts degree, will be given to the student. So this being this we will be coming out of this streams of education, because suppose a student chooses science, and we don't allow that child to learn arts at all. Therefore, it's not ethically correct to do this. So therefore, they are following the global higher education system, and they have made a study of this global education system, and they have suggested this liberal arts education in higher education. And as a preparation to this, in schools itself, they are given a lot of choices and a lot of flexibility to make their own choices based on the careers that they would like to adopt, and later on continue and make a work life for them. So there's a lot of choice for the students.
So will teachers have to undergo additional training as we have to computation?
Computation and algorithms which have taken prominence in
Taking
the new
prominence
policy.
in the new policy.
Teachers will have to undergo a lot of training. That's because see that teachers are expected to take up at least 50 hours of in-service training per year. Per year, 50 hours. So
So,
50, yeah. So therefore, there will be a lot of training that is required, and different kind of training, because this if we have to introduce subjects like contemporary education, like design thinking maybe, or artificial intelligence, it's not going to be easy without training the teachers. Either specially trained teachers have to be appointed, or the in-service teachers have to be trained. So teacher training is going to be a major challenge for adopting the new policy. And the
and
same
one more
question is
question
asked.
asked that according to new policy, is there division like CBSE, ICSE, or state board, or is the common school system would be?
New policy doesn't speak about anything about the boards that are existing. They only talk about their vision for school education. They only consider all type of schools as same, and they don't even make difference between public schools and private schools. They only tell that you all have to come together, collaborate, and share your resources, and work together and make sure that the quality education is given to children of India. That's why nothing has been mentioned about this, but they only said that, as I already told you, they asked to work in collaboration. Collaboration of the boards is required.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
We'll wind up now. So, gratitude is the memory of the heart, says Lionel Hampton. Indeed, today is a day to recall the memory of Madame Flossie, who was once a parent of Carmel family. She has clearly explained the objectives, significance, and other details of national education policy. Madam, we appreciate your availability and for obliging to address on the topic. Kamal family is ever grateful to you. A word of thanks to you, dear parents, teachers, and students, for you have made time to attend today's session. Once again, thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, sister. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
parents, for connecting with us. Thank you.